Have you ever said to yourself, I'm not good at English, or I'll never understand this? Maybe you've even thought, I can't speak like native speakers, or this is too difficult for me. If you've said these things, you're not alone. Many English learners say things like this to themselves every day. But what if I told you something surprising? What if I told you that these words, these quiet words inside your mind, are actually shaping your brain? Yes, really changing your brain. They could be the reason you feel stuck. They could be the reason you don't feel confident. And they could be the reason you're not improving as fast as you want to. But there's good news. There's something you can do about it. Today, I'm going to show you how changing just one thing, your self-talk, can completely change your English learning journey. And not just your English. It can change your confidence, your motivation, and even your life. Welcome to 24/7 English. I'm teacher Laura, and today we're going to talk about something powerful, something so simple but so strong. It's not grammar, it's not vocabulary, it's your self-talk. So, let's get started with Chapter 1. Chapter 1. What is self-talk? As an English learner, there's something happening in your mind all the time. Even right now, as you're listening to me or reading this, there is a little voice in your head. That voice might be saying something like, I understand this, or maybe, this is too hard for me. That little voice is called self-talk. It's something we all do, every person, every day, and most of the time we don't even notice it. So, what is self-talk exactly? Self-talk is the voice inside your head that speaks to you. It's not something you say out loud, it's the quiet thinking voice. For example, when you're reading a book in English and you don't understand a word, you might think, ugh, I'll never understand this. That thought, that sentence in your mind, is self-talk. And here's something important. Self-talk can be positive or negative. It can help you, or it can hurt you. That voice inside your head has a lot of power, more than you probably think. Let me give you a few examples. Maybe you've heard yourself say some of these things before. My accent is bad. I always forget vocabulary. People will laugh at me if I make a mistake. English is too hard. These are all examples of negative self-talk, and they can really make learning English more difficult. Because when you hear these words inside your head, you start to believe them, even if they're not true. But there's another kind of self-talk. It's called positive self-talk. That's when your inner voice supports you and encourages you. It's when you say things like, I'm still learning, and that's okay. Every day I'm getting better. It's okay to make mistakes. I can understand more today than I did yesterday. Now let me ask you a question. Which kind of self-talk do you usually hear inside your head? Be honest. If your answer is negative, that's okay. Most people don't even notice their self-talk, and they don't realize it's something they can change. But the truth is, you can change it. And when you do, your learning will feel easier. You'll feel more confident. And you'll enjoy the process more. I've worked with many students over the years, and I can tell you, those who learn to speak kindly to themselves always go further. Here's something interesting. Even when you're not speaking English out loud, you're still using English in your mind. For example, you might be thinking, "Did I say that correctly?" Or, "What's the word for that again?" This inner voice is practicing English too. So imagine how much stronger your learning could be if that voice said things like, "I'm proud of myself for trying," or, "That was a good sentence, I did it." Think about it like this. Your self-talk is your closest study partner. It's with you 24 hours a day. It's always listening, always speaking. So it's very important to make it a kind and helpful voice, not a mean or scary one. Some students tell me, "But Teacher Laura, I didn't know I was even talking to myself." And I always say, "That's okay. Now you know. And now you can start to choose your words." So in this chapter, I just want you to do one simple thing. Start to notice your self-talk. You don't have to change anything yet. Just notice. When you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself? When you feel confused, what are you thinking? Because once you notice it, you can begin to work with it. You can begin to change it. And that is the first powerful step to improving, not just your English, but your confidence, your motivation, and your mindset. You are already talking to yourself every day, so why not make it helpful? Okay, that's the end of Chapter 1. Are you ready for Chapter 2? Chapter 2. Why Self-Talk Matters. Now that we know what self-talk is, let's talk about why it's so important, especially for your English learning journey. You see, the words you say to yourself, even if they are only in your mind, have a huge impact on how you feel and how much you can learn. Your self-talk affects your emotions, your motivation, and even how your brain works. Yes, your brain. Let's break it down a little bit. When you speak negatively to yourself, like saying, "I always make mistakes," or "I can never remember the right word," your brain actually feels stressed. This stress makes it harder to learn because your brain is in fight or flight mode. This is your brain's way of trying to protect you when it feels anxious or nervous. But guess what? When your brain is stressed, it has a hard time focusing and remembering what you're learning. It's like trying to study for a test while feeling scared. Your brain can't relax, and because of that, it can't absorb new information easily. On the other hand, positive self-talk helps your brain relax. When you say things like, "Mistakes help me learn," or "I'm improving every day," your brain feels calm. It's like when you take a deep breath and tell yourself, "I can do this." In this relaxed state, your brain can actually remember more and think more clearly. Your brain becomes ready to absorb new information, like vocabulary words or grammar rules. Let's take a look at some examples. Imagine you're reading a new English text and you don't understand a word. With negative self-talk, you might think, "I'll never get this. I always struggle with new words." This thought makes you feel frustrated, stressed, and maybe even discouraged. Now, imagine you say to yourself, "It's okay to not understand everything right away. Mistakes are part of the process. I'll understand it soon." This is positive self-talk. When you say this to yourself, your brain feels calmer. It's no longer focused on fear or stress, but instead on progress and learning. Here's another example. Let's say you're speaking in English with a friend, and you make a mistake. With negative self-talk, you might say, I can't believe I made that mistake. I sound so bad. That negative self-talk can make you feel embarrassed or even cause you to stop speaking English altogether. But with positive self-talk, you might think, mistakes are okay. I'm learning. Next time, I'll do better. This type of self-talk encourages you to keep trying and not give up. Now, let's talk a bit about brain function. When we speak negatively to ourselves, our brains release stress hormones, which make it harder to focus. But when we use positive self-talk, our brain releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals help you feel good and motivated. This means that not only does your brain feel better, but it also works better. It becomes easier for you to remember new words, grammar, and other things you're learning in English. So when you change your self-talk, you're not just changing how you feel, you're actually changing how your brain works. And that's a really powerful thing. Your words are not just words. They are the keys that unlock the power of your brain to learn faster and with more confidence. Let's take a final example. Imagine you're about to give a presentation in English. If your self-talk is negative, you might think, I'm going to mess up, or I can't speak well enough. This will make you feel nervous, and you might even freeze or forget what you want to say. But if your self-talk is positive, you might think, I've prepared for this, and I can do it. Or, even if I make a mistake, it's okay. I'm learning. With this positive self-talk, you'll likely feel more confident, more relaxed, and more ready to speak English. So, what's the big takeaway from this chapter? The words you say to yourself matter. Whether it's about your English skills or anything else in life, your self-talk has a huge effect on how you feel, how you learn, and how you succeed. Negative self-talk can hold you back, but positive self-talk will help you move forward. It's like giving yourself a boost of energy whenever you need it. And the best part? You're the one in control. You can choose to be kind to yourself and use words that help you grow. Okay, that's the end of Chapter 2. Are you ready to move on to Chapter 3? Chapter 3. Types of self-talk. Negative versus positive. Now that we understand what self-talk is and why it matters, let's take a deeper look at the different types of self-talk. There are two main kinds, negative self-talk and positive self-talk. And there's also a third type, which is neutral self-talk. Each type of self-talk affects you in different ways, so it's important to recognize which one you're using. Let's start with negative self-talk. This is the kind of self-talk that makes you feel bad about yourself or your abilities. Negative self-talk can sound like this. I sound stupid when I speak English. I'll never learn this. Or, I can't do it. You might even think, I always make mistakes. When you say these things to yourself, your brain starts to believe them. The more you say negative things like this, the more you start to feel discouraged and frustrated. And when you feel that way, learning becomes harder because your brain is under stress. So, negative self-talk can actually stop you from improving and make you feel stuck. For example, imagine you're practicing speaking English and you make a mistake. If your self-talk is negative, you might think, I sound so stupid. I'll never get this right. This thought makes you feel embarrassed or discouraged, and the next time you try to speak, you might feel anxious. This cycle of negative self-talk can make it harder to improve your English because you're not giving yourself the encouragement you need. Now, let's talk about positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is the opposite of negative self-talk. It sounds like, my English is getting better every day, I'm making progress, or mistakes help me learn. Positive self-talk is empowering. It makes you feel good about what you're doing, even if things aren't perfect. When you think positively, your brain feels more relaxed, and it can absorb information better. It's like giving yourself a pat on the back. You might not be perfect, but you're improving, and that's what really matters. For example, imagine you make a mistake while speaking English. With positive self-talk, you might think, that's okay. I made a mistake, but I'm learning. I'll do better next time. This thought makes you feel proud of yourself, and you're more likely to keep trying and improving. Positive self-talk helps you stay motivated and gives you the confidence to keep going, even when things get tough. But wait, there's also neutral self-talk. Neutral self-talk is like saying facts or statements without adding any emotion. It doesn't sound negative, but it also doesn't sound positive. It's just neutral. For example, you might say, I made a mistake, or I need to practice more. These statements don't necessarily make you feel good or bad, they're just facts. But even neutral self-talk can have an effect. If you say things like, I need to practice more, it's a reminder that you are still working on improving, but it doesn't encourage you to feel proud or excited about your progress. It's important to notice if you're using neutral self-talk, because it can be helpful, but it can also leave you feeling kind of meh about your efforts. So how can you tell what kind of self-talk you're using? The key is to become aware of your thoughts. Are you saying things like, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough? That's negative self-talk. Are you saying things like, I'm learning every day, or I'm improving? That's positive self-talk. And if you're just stating facts like, I need more practice, or I made a mistake, that's neutral self-talk. The goal here is to help you recognize what kind of self-talk you're using most often. By becoming more aware of your thoughts, you can start changing them. If you notice that you're using too much negative self-talk, try to replace it with positive self-talk. It's a simple change, but it can make a huge difference in how you feel and how much you learn. Let's take a closer look at an example. Imagine you're practicing your speaking skills. You say, I'm terrible at speaking English. That's negative self-talk, and it can make you feel discouraged. But if you change it to, I'm doing my best, and I'm getting better every day, that's positive self-talk. You're still recognizing that you might need to improve, but you're also focusing on your progress and being kind to yourself. It's not about being perfect. No one speaks perfectly all the time, and that's okay. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Positive self-talk helps you celebrate your improvements, no matter how small they seem. When you focus on your progress, you'll feel more motivated to keep learning. So, in summary, there are 3 types of self-talk. negative, positive, and neutral. Negative self-talk holds you back and makes you feel bad about yourself. Positive self-talk encourages you, helps you learn, and builds your confidence. Neutral self-talk is just stating facts without adding any emotion. The goal is to use more positive self-talk to help you stay motivated and keep moving forward in your English learning journey. That's the end of Chapter 3. Let's continue on to Chapter 4 and learn how to change negative self-talk into positive self-talk. Chapter 4. How negative self-talk hurts your English learning. Now that we've explored the different types of self-talk, let's dive deeper into why negative self-talk is especially harmful for English learners. You might not realize it, but the way you talk to yourself can actually hold you back in your language learning. In this chapter, I'll explain how negative self-talk leads to fear, hesitation, and low confidence. I'll also show you why this is such a big problem for English learners and how you can overcome it. Let's start with fear. When you constantly tell yourself things like, "I'm not good enough," or "I always make mistakes," it creates fear. You begin to fear making mistakes, and this fear can make you freeze up when you try to speak. You might find yourself in a conversation and suddenly blank out, forgetting everything you want to say. Or you might avoid speaking English altogether, thinking, "I'll just embarrass myself." This fear stops you from practicing and learning, because the more you avoid speaking, the harder it becomes. For example, imagine you're in a conversation with someone, and you want to say something in English. But then, that little voice inside your head says, "What if I say it wrong? What if they laugh at me?" And just like that, you stop yourself from speaking. That's negative self-talk working against you, and it's causing you to hesitate. Fear and hesitation can prevent you from practicing, and without practice, your English won't improve. Another way negative self-talk hurts your English is by lowering your confidence. If you constantly think, "I can't do this," or "I'm terrible at English," your confidence will take a hit. This lack of confidence makes it harder to speak, because when you don't believe in yourself, it's difficult to speak up and use what you've learned. You might even start to doubt your progress. If you focus on your mistakes too much, you'll forget to celebrate how far you've come. For example, let's say you're speaking with a friend in English. You're doing okay, but you make a small mistake. If you immediately think, "I always make mistakes," your confidence drops. You start to feel bad about your English, and your ability to speak clearly decreases. But if you change your mindset and think, "Mistakes are part of learning, and I'm getting better every day," you'll feel more confident, and that confidence will help you continue the conversation without hesitation. But the biggest problem with negative self-talk is that it affects how your brain works. Our brains are wired to protect us, so when we feel stressed or anxious, the brain's fight or flight response is triggered. This means your brain goes into survival mode, making it harder for you to think clearly, relax, or focus. Let's say you're in the middle of a conversation in English, and you feel nervous about making a mistake. Negative thoughts like, "I'm going to mess up," trigger stress, and your brain starts to go into fight or flight mode. When this happens, your body becomes tense, and it's harder for you to think of the right words or speak clearly. Your brain is too busy dealing with stress to focus on the conversation, and this makes it even harder to speak English well. On the other hand, when you have positive self-talk, your brain stays calm and relaxed. You feel confident and open to learning, and your brain can focus on the task at hand, speaking English. It's like when you're calm and confident, your brain works like a tool, helping you find the right words more easily. Now, let's put it all together. Negative self-talk leads to fear, hesitation, and low confidence. It triggers stress in the brain, making it harder to think and speak clearly. And this is why it's so important for you to recognize and change your negative thoughts. Negative self-talk doesn't just hurt your feelings, it hurts your ability to learn. But here's the good news. Once you recognize how negative self-talk hurts your English learning, you can start to change it. It's not about being perfect. It's about shifting your mindset so that you can face challenges with a positive attitude instead of fear. So, in this chapter, we've learned that negative self-talk can 1. Create fear and make you hesitate to speak English. 2. Lower your confidence and stop you from using what you've learned. 3. Trigger stress in your brain, making it harder to think and speak clearly. In the next chapter, we'll learn how to change negative self-talk into positive self-talk. This shift will help you build confidence, stay calm, and make learning English much easier and more enjoyable. Stay tuned for Chapter 5, where we'll explore some simple steps to turn your negative self-talk into positive, powerful thoughts that will support your English learning journey. Chapter 5. The science behind positive self-talk. Now, let's talk about the good news. Did you know that positive self-talk can actually help your brain? It's true. When you say kind and encouraging things to yourself, it makes a huge difference in how you learn and how you feel. In this chapter, we're going to explore how positive self-talk works inside your brain and how it can help you stay calm, focus better, and even speak more fluently. First, let's introduce a concept called neuroplasticity. Now, don't worry if this word sounds complicated. It's not. Neuroplasticity just means that your brain can grow and change. Think of your brain like a garden. The thoughts you have are like seeds, and these seeds grow into something bigger. If you plant good seeds, like positive thoughts, your brain will grow in a healthy way, making it easier for you to learn and use English. Let's break this down even more. Imagine your brain is like a muscle. If you go to the gym and lift weights every day, your muscles get stronger. The same thing happens with your brain. When you think positive thoughts and talk to yourself in a supportive way, your brain gets stronger too. You are actually creating new connections in your brain, which makes learning easier and faster. So, what does this mean for you as an English learner? Well, every time you tell yourself, "I'm getting better at English," or "I can do this," your brain is working to help you improve. It's like planting seeds in your garden, and every time you think positively, those seeds start to grow into stronger and healthier thoughts. The more you practice positive self-talk, the more your brain changes to support your learning. Now, let's look at how positive self-talk helps you stay calm and focus better. When you use positive language, it actually helps you relax. This is because when you speak kindly to yourself, your brain releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals make you feel happy and calm. And when you feel calm, you can focus better and learn more easily. Think about it. When you're relaxed, you're not distracted by fear or stress, so it's easier to pay attention and remember what you learn. For example, if you're nervous about speaking English, try telling yourself, "I'm confident and I can do this." When you say this, your brain relaxes and it becomes easier for you to speak clearly. You're not as focused on the fear of making mistakes. Instead, your brain is focused on doing your best. Positive self-talk also helps you speak more fluently. When you believe in yourself and stay calm, your brain can find the words you need much faster. Have you ever been in a conversation where you're trying to remember a word, but the pressure makes it harder? That's because stress can block your brain from working at its best. But when you practice positive self-talk, your brain is more relaxed and you can think more clearly. This makes speaking English feel easier and more natural. Let's take another example. Imagine you're about to give a presentation in English. Instead of saying to yourself, "I'm going to mess up," you could say, "I am ready for this. I've practiced, and I'm going to do great." By saying this, you're sending a positive message to your brain. Your brain starts to feel confident and ready, and this helps you perform better. The more you believe in yourself, the more your brain works to help you succeed. So, to sum it up, here's how positive self-talk works for your brain. 1. Neuroplasticity. Your brain can grow and change based on your thoughts. Positive thoughts are like seeds that help your brain grow in a healthy way. 2. Staying calm. When you talk to yourself positively, your brain relaxes and releases feel-good chemicals, making it easier to focus and learn. 3. Fluency. Positive self-talk helps you stay calm and confident, which makes it easier to speak English more naturally and fluently. The great thing about all of this is that you are in control. You can decide what kind of thoughts you want to have, just like you decide what kind of seeds you want to plant in your brain. The more you practice positive self-talk, the stronger your brain will get, and the easier it will be to learn English. In the next chapter, we'll look at some simple techniques to start using positive self-talk every day. We'll give you easy strategies to make this a habit, so you can start seeing improvements in your English learning right away. Stay tuned for Chapter 6, where we'll help you turn positive self-talk into a powerful tool for your language journey. Chapter 6, How to Start Practicing Positive Self-Talk. Now that we understand the power of positive self-talk, let's talk about how you can start practicing it in your daily life. The good news is that you don't need to make huge changes all at once. Positive self-talk can be something simple and small that you can practice every day. It's like planting small seeds of kindness toward yourself that will grow over time. The first step is to recognize when you're having negative thoughts. For example, let's say you're speaking in English and you think, "I can't do this." This is a negative thought that we all have sometimes. The key here is not to ignore these thoughts, but to catch them in the moment. It's like when you're driving and you see a red light, you stop. When you have a negative thought, you stop and notice it. This is the first step. Once you notice the negative thought, the next step is to replace it with something more positive. Let's use our example of, I can't do this. A better thought might be, this is hard, but I'm learning. Notice how we didn't say, I can do this perfectly, or I'm great at this. It's not about pretending you're perfect. It's about being kind to yourself while recognizing that learning takes time. Here's a simple process to follow. 1. Catch the negative thought, like, I'm not good at English. 2. Challenge the thought. Is this really true? Why do I think this? 3. Replace with a positive thought, like, I'm getting better every day at English, and I'm improving. This can feel a little strange at first because we're not always used to thinking this way. But the more you practice, the easier it will get. Just like learning English, practicing positive self-talk takes time and repetition. But trust me, you will start to feel the benefits quickly. Let's move on to creating self-talk sentences. These are simple, positive statements that you can say to yourself whenever you need a boost. For example, I am capable of learning English. I am improving every day. It's okay to make mistakes, that's how I learn. I am confident speaking English. These self-talk sentences are powerful because they focus on the positive and remind you that you can succeed. The key is to make them personal and realistic. These sentences should be true for you, even if they feel like a little stretch at first. Now, how do you use these sentences in real life? You can write them down and keep them somewhere you'll see every day. Maybe on your desk, on your phone, or even on your bathroom mirror. The more you see these positive statements, the more they will become a part of your thinking. You can also say them out loud. Yes, it might feel a little awkward at first, but trust me, it works. When you say these positive things out loud, you hear them, and your brain starts to believe them more. It's like giving yourself a pep talk, and your brain needs that encouragement. You might say something like, I'm doing great, and I'm proud of myself for learning English. You can say this before you speak in English, before you study, or even when you're feeling a little down. This small habit can help change your mindset over time. Another helpful tip is to use positive self-talk during moments of struggle. If you find yourself struggling with something, like a difficult grammar rule or speaking in front of people, try this. Pause, take a deep breath, and say a positive sentence to yourself. For example, this is challenging, but I'm capable of overcoming challenges. This helps your brain relax and refocus, which makes it easier to keep going. Remember, you don't need to change everything overnight. Start small. Pick 1 or 2 moments each day where you'll focus on practicing positive self-talk. Maybe it's before a conversation or before you start studying for the day. The key is consistency. If you keep practicing, it will become second nature. Here's a quick summary of how to start. 1. Catch negative thoughts. Notice when you think, I can't do this, or I'm bad at this. 2. Replace with positive thoughts. For example, this is hard, but I'm learning. 3. Create simple self-talk sentences, like, I am confident in my English skills. 4. Write them down. Keep your positive sentences visible so you can see them every day. 5. Say them out loud. Give yourself a pep talk before you study or speak. 6. Practice every day. Start small, and the more you practice, the easier it gets. In the next chapter, we'll take these ideas even further and discuss how to stay motivated when things get tough. Positive self-talk is a great start, but there are more ways to keep going even when you face challenges. Stay tuned for Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Using self-talk in daily English practice. Now that we've explored how powerful self-talk can be, let's take a closer look at how you can use it specifically for your English learning. Whether you're reading, writing, listening, or speaking, self-talk can help you stay positive, focused, and motivated. Let's break it down and look at how positive self-talk can make a big difference in your daily English practice. 1. Using self-talk for reading. When you're reading in English, you might come across difficult words or confusing sentences. It's easy to get frustrated, but instead of thinking, "I don't understand this," you can use self-talk to remind yourself of the progress you're making. Here's an example of how to use positive self-talk. Negative self-talk. "I don't understand this podcast." Positive self-talk. "I understood some words and I'll understand more tomorrow." By focusing on what you do understand, you'll feel more confident and motivated to continue. It's important to remember that reading in English is a skill that improves over time. Every time you read, you're building your knowledge and learning new things. 2. Using self-talk for writing. Writing can be a challenge for many learners. You might worry about making mistakes or feel unsure about your writing. Instead of saying, "This writing is terrible," you can use positive self-talk to keep yourself on track. Negative self-talk. "I'm terrible at writing in English." Positive self-talk. "I'm improving my writing little by little, and that's how I'll get better." Remember, writing is a process. The more you write, the better you'll get at organizing your thoughts and expressing yourself. Even if you make mistakes, it's okay. Mistakes are part of the learning process. 3. Using self-talk for listening. Listening to English can sometimes feel difficult, especially when you don't understand everything you hear. Instead of getting frustrated, remind yourself of the progress you've already made. Here's an example of self-talk for listening. Negative self-talk. "I can't understand anything in this podcast." Positive self-talk. "I understood a few words, and that's great. I'll understand more next time." By focusing on the words or phrases you do understand, you can stay motivated to keep practicing. Listening is a skill that improves with time, and the more you listen, the better you will become at understanding English. 4. Using self-talk for speaking. Speaking English can be especially intimidating, especially if you worry about making mistakes or not being understood. But remember, speaking is one of the fastest ways to improve your English. Here's an example of how self-talk can help you stay positive when speaking. Negative self-talk. "I sound stupid when I speak English." Positive self-talk. "I'm doing my best, and with practice, my English will get better." By speaking kindly to yourself, you can overcome your fear of speaking and make it a regular part of your practice. It's okay to make mistakes when you speak. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn and improve. 5. Introducing self-coaching. One powerful tool for using self-talk is self-coaching. Self-coaching means talking to yourself like a kind, supportive teacher or friend. Imagine you're encouraging someone who is learning English. What would you say to them? You might say things like, "It's okay to make mistakes. You're learning and growing every day. You're doing great. Keep practicing and you'll see improvement. Don't worry if it's hard now. Keep going. You'll get better." Now imagine saying those same words to yourself when you feel frustrated or unsure. Self-coaching helps you stay calm, focused, and positive, and it's a great way to stay motivated when learning English. Putting it all together, here's a quick review of how to use self-talk in your daily English practice. In reading, celebrate what you understand and remind yourself that improvement happens with practice. In writing, focus on progress, not perfection. Mistakes help you learn. In listening, acknowledge your growth and remind yourself that every listening practice is a step forward. In speaking, encourage yourself to speak, knowing that each attempt helps you improve. By using positive self-talk and self-coaching, you can transform your English practice into an encouraging and motivating experience. You don't have to be perfect. Just keep going and remember to be kind to yourself. You're learning, and that's something to celebrate. Summary. Use self-talk to remind yourself of the progress you're making, even if you don't understand everything. Self-coaching is a great way to stay positive and motivated as you practice. Be patient with yourself. Learning English is a journey, and each day of practice helps you improve. Great job today. I'm really proud of you for learning about the power of self-talk. Remember, every time you speak kindly to yourself, you are helping your brain learn better, and you are becoming a stronger English speaker. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments, write one positive sentence you'll say to yourself today. I'll be reading them and cheering you on. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to 24/7 English, and share this video with a friend who is learning English. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and remember, you are doing better than you think. I'll see you in the next lesson. Keep up the great work. Sparkles.